Hey, welcome to the Homeschool road trip. In this video, I'm talking about our road trip to Mount Rushmore. We are a homeschool family from New York State, and we love to jump in the car and go see the things that we are reading about in our lessons. We are, in these clips, driving from our hotel in Rapid City over to the Mount Rushmore Memorial. You certainly could stay closer. We were about 40 minutes away, but if you found a place in Keystone, you would be closer. We loved where we were. We had basically a one-bedroom apartment. It had a full kitchen, and we did cook meals in here, but it also was pretty centrally located to everything that we wanted to do. So we would crash here at night and then get up in the morning and drive out in any manner of direction to hike or do other things. When we arrived, our range here wasn't working, and they said, okay, this staff member is going to be up here at this time, and the staff was fantastic. They always followed through on what they said, and they were super helpful. We were a 1-minute drive away from a super Walmart, so that also was great. We were able to stock the fridge, and it's a grocery store we were familiar with, being so far from home, so it was nice. It was the Staybridge Suites in Rapid City, if you're interested. They had a full breakfast, so we did use the kitchen, but they did have breakfast. They also had, I'll say with air quotes, they called it appetizers at nighttime, but it was basically dinner. They would have salads and mac and cheese. One night they had sloppy joes. They had a Taco Tuesday with beans and beef. So there was really a lot of food, a lot of options, and you could eat as much as you needed, and it was included. So here we are approaching the memorial. Once you go past this national park sign, the road basically looks pretty similar to what it did before because we're just climbing through the hills. But you'll see me point there. The memorial sort of appears through the trees as you're climbing, and it's kind of exciting. It's a nice little payoff after, driving all the way there. And one thing that you'll see in the bottom of the screen here in a second is that we drive past a person. And the reason for that is there's a handful, I didn't count them, but I would say maybe 5 or so little pull-off areas. So if you want to take a picture or get out the binoculars, you can pull over and do that safely. And then when you finally get to the memorial, there's a large parking garage. I know sometimes moms are traveling alone with kids and they're always kind of worried about this. There were rangers and it was well lit and open. It was not something I would be nervous about even doing alone, but there was also just plenty of parking, so there's no concern. One thing that's cool is you pay for parking and then your pass is good for a year, which comes in handy. So you park, you walk up these stone steps, and then here you are at the memorial and you approach. One thing that was interesting, another little piece of school, this sign says that people can exercise their First Amendment rights. That gentleman there on the left is doing that. So there were people with religious signs and people with protest signs. We spent some time there, maybe 15 of them, just kind of looking at what everyone had to say, and it was another little lesson there. This is called the Avenue of the Flags. So this has every state, the number, the order in which they were added to the Union, and the state flag. So again, spent some time there just kind of putting them in order and getting our bearings. We also took advantage of the self-guided tour. So you can see ahead there, he's holding basically a phone up to his ear. When we did this, they were $6. And we got one for every member of the family, but you certainly could have rented just a few and then swap them between each other, but we got one for everyone. So you would walk this presidential trail here and you would approach a sign, it would tell you a number, you would type that in and listen to the lesson for that section. We're on the trail and there's things outside, but there's also things inside. So there are these museums, places to watch movies inside. Outside there are plenty of bathrooms, places to eat, and gift shops. So I would say, generally speaking, the themes of the memorial are sort of centered around a couple things. The sculptor for sure, and also along with that, the geological perspective. What are the hills made of? How does one carve into this material? There was also a lot of information about the genesis of the memorial. So there were politicians and business people that had to band together to make this happen. So what went into that? And then there was quite a bit of information on the Indigenous perspective. I had visited Mount Rushmore once as a child, but I did not know this. Somehow this was lost on me, that the hills were of cultural significance to the Lakota people. And so this memorial was super important to some people and super painful to other people. And they spend some time on this presidential trail here. They spend some time in that audio tour giving you information about that as well. So this is the map of the presidential trail. So as I said, you're walking around, approaching the next number, typing that into your device and listening. So here's number 12. We're going to type that in, and then we learn what we need to learn about this spot. You'll see up there on the right-hand side, there is an amphitheater, and you'll see this come into play at the end of the video. We come back in the evening, but here it is during the day. They do an evening program that we really enjoyed. So we're just continuing to walk the trail. There's places to see. This is a different areas, I guess, to see the memorial. And this is about as close as you get. There's no kind of climbing up there, but there is a substantial amount of stairs. I am a person that doesn't enjoy heights, and this was not something that made me nervous. So I will say that at the jump, but you do go fairly high, I guess, up here. If you're not prepared for all those stairs, just keep that in mind. But we are continuing to walk and learn and listen as we go. There also is on the side here what they call a Lakota Village. So they basically have historical interpreters that are in there throughout the day. For the several hours that we were there this day, it was closed, so we didn't get to go in, but I've seen other people say that they really enjoy it in there and they learn a lot. The other thing that we noticed, here's a little chipmunk running by, but if you're kind of a nature study person, flora and fauna person, inside of the audio tour, sometimes they would be telling us about the plants that we were seeing, often from an Indigenous perspective, why these things were of significance, but there was a little bit of nature study here as well. On the trail, this is called the Sculptor's Studio. So if you're a person, and I would recommend it, if you have the National Parks passport, I can do a different video about that, but this has a special stamp. So you can get the stamp for your passport up further, but sometimes at national parks, you have to go to the next stop to get that stamp, and this is one of those places. There was a ranger that did a little class here, so we took part in that. There's a gift shop here, that kind of thing. But then on your audio tour, you also have additional things to listen to. So we spent quite a bit of time back there in the Sculptor studio, and they have that model there of the memorial that he worked off of. Another school thing, Junior Ranger program, I can do a different video about this, but you do a little booklet of activities, show what you've learned, and you get a badge. Now, this is the ice cream shop. So the basic premise is that Thomas Jefferson went to Europe, got an ice cream recipe, he writes this down, and this is the ice cream. I am not a huge foodie, and I will say I thought it was very good ice cream. It tasted different to me than other things, so I enjoyed it. And that book is a book we got from the library. So we were there during the day, we leave, do other things, and we come back here in the evening. So we're in the amphitheater. That ranger there did a flawless program where he gave a ton of information. I thought it was very interesting. And then they show you a video.
Throughout history, countless Americans have made great sacrifices so that we can enjoy the freedoms of this land.
So then they invited all of the veterans to come down, and everybody stood and honored them. And they also had one family assist them, a veteran family assist them with retiring the flag for the night. So I thought it was a pretty moving thing to see. I would definitely go back for sure. And like I said, your parking pass is good, so you don't have to pay again to come back. So this is the inside of the parking garage. There definitely was a little bit of traffic getting out, but I honestly, just a handful of extra minutes versus leaving during the daytime, because now everyone's leaving at the same time. But this gives you a picture. Over there on the left, you would walk up stone steps behind that there when you park, either day or night. So pretty open and safe, a lot of people. And then we drove back to our hotel in Rapid City. Thanks for watching.